in San Francisco. This is where it really spread. And you can spread it, you can see it from San Francisco, even to Haiti, people visiting as tourists. It was basically male homosexuals who had this disease. Of course now, we know that it is not only a homosexual disease, it is passed through drugs with the needles, and any fluids, the fluids that are coming from one body to another, can transfer this disease. Malik Bedri, Dr. Malik Bedri, wrote a book concerning AIDS, and in this he showed homosexual practices that you will see because of male homosexual practices, that by the taking in of filth into the bloodstream and semen into the bloodstream, which is not natural to be taken in, it actually breaks down the immune system. Because AIDS is actually acquired immunity deficiency syndrome. It's your immune system is broken down, right? There's another theory that AIDS was actually spread by the American military. And there was a woman in America, her name was Kress, Dr. Kress, and she was traveling from city to city, and she said she was in the laboratory, and she saw the AIDS virus, she saw the containers, and she saw the antidote before it spread in San Francisco. And so her theory was that they wanted to inoculate, they wanted to do like a test. And so they said they will take the most despised part of the population. So they looked for male homosexuals in San Francisco, and they would try it on them to see what would happen. Okay, but then it spread, it went wildfire, and so they kept the antidote inside their laboratory. Whether that's true or not, Allahu A'lam. We can't prove that for sure. In a general sense, you can see, in the same way that this fasad, this corruption, and what it brings, the Prophet ﷺ has said in a hadith, something to the effect of, ما ظهرت الفاحشة في قوم قط يعمل بها علانية إلا ظهر فيهم الطاعون والأوجاع التي لم تكن في أسلافهم. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Whenever fahisha, sexual immorality and corruption spreads amongst a people, it appears, and they do it openly, there will also appear amongst them diseases and famines that they never knew in the previous generations. And so when the homosexuals started having this disease, they felt insecure and they went out into the streets. In Toronto, we had what they call Gay Pride Day. And they had 500,000 homosexuals marching in the streets. And they said, we're queer and we're here. And we're not going away. That's what they said, man. A'udhu billah. Then, and we're having another lecture for Muslims tomorrow, but to give you a hint, they actually included somebody from the Muslim community. And they had a float that they called As-Salam. And people from the Muslim community who were turned out and confused and got involved in that, and they marched in the parade too. So the Prophet ﷺ said, مَا ظَهَرَتَ الْفَاحِشَةِ, when it comes out, they do it, alaniya. Then comes the ta'un wal awja'. So this ta'un is now coming, this disease is now coming and it is spreading in the land. So you can put it all together, and you know, there may be a number of reasons, I'm not sure which one is actual the theory, but the theory of starting in Africa is racism. That's racism. And through scientific documentation, you will see that in San Francisco, amongst male homosexuals, in the first 5 years or so, they were the main people on earth that had AIDS. And then they say it went to other countries. Question? Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam.
My question maybe it's a little bit, far away from the main roots of your topic. However, something that worthwhile to have an answer for it and the clarification here. As Muslims who are living in a non-Muslim country, of course, we have our own problems and our own advantages, disadvantages. Yeah. Now my question is, should Muslims who are confronted, two brothers or any two Muslims, should they go to judge by a non-Muslim judge? in the absence of official Muslim judge in this society?
Yeah. Okay, well the first thing I want to say, to be very honest with you, is that we are hoping and praying for a genuine Islamic society to evolve and to appear on this earth. But up until now, there is no Islamic state on earth. There are some people who are getting close, and we pray, inshallah, we have to make dua that Allah will help them to complete. So the economy is interest-free. Their politics has a khalifa, right? Until they're, governed by Qur'an and Sunnah. There are some that are moving towards it. Actually now, the so-called Muslim countries are all shades of different British constitutional law, French constitutional law, all types of secular systems rule the Muslim world. And you will find that there are actually some Islamic practices that are practiced in the non-Muslim countries more than in Muslim countries. Some of the civil laws in these societies where you get justice in the court system, and certainly it comes from Islamic courts. It was the Islamic court system that transferred this concept into Europe. And they took the ball and they spread it now. So therefore, if we are living within a country like this, if we have surrendered ourselves and come here for whatever the reason is, then to a certain extent, you have to respect the basic laws of the country as long as it's not making you go outside of your Islam. We have to learn now how to work within the environment that you're in. Unfortunately, and I say this from experience, because in Toronto I was the imam of a big mosque, over 1,000 people in the mosque. And we had Muslims from every part of the Muslim world. And when we had marital problems, many times the brothers especially, they don't respect the imam. The imam tells them, you can't say talaq, 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 like water coming out of your mouth. But they continue to say it. They don't respect the imam. They beat their wife brutally in the name of Islam. They do all kinds of things and they won't respect the thing. Then you say, okay brother, I'm going to call the police. Okay, mashallah, tabarakallah. Now he's going to be very cooperative now. You see? Because the police are coming. See? In New York City, what brothers used to do is, if there was a marital problem, we had brothers trained and we would go to the house and we'll deal with him ourselves. We'll deal with the brother. Okay? But this is a different situation than New York. This is different than New York. So really, we have to learn to, respect those institutions that are here, as long as they're not taking us out of our faith, man. And sometimes you have to go, in that situation. The best way, and what is happening in Canada now, it may even be coming here. The court systems are realizing that in order to save costs in the court, they have an out-of-court settlement. And so they appoint people who are not major judges, but they are like lawyers, and they sit with the two parties, aggrieved parties, and they have an out-of-court settlement. That is the best possible thing for us in this system. Because then you can get a mufti, somebody from the Muslim community, who sits with a lawyer from the court, and then you have the two sides, right? And then it's an out-of-court settlement, right, where the power of the state is there to keep the brother in check, right? But you still have a mufti who is there who can enter in the Sharia perspective. So the Sharia perspective would be there in the decision. That's the best that I've seen within a minority situation. Unfortunately, only in a few parts of the Western countries do the Muslims respect the Imam enough to actually obey what the Imam is saying. Most of the people look at the Imam, they lead Salat, man. Make Jum'ah. After that, you're finished, man. You have no power over my life. This is what happens. So we try to get the best settlement we possibly can. There's a question in the back? You have a question?
Yes, sure. I wanted to ask you two questions. The first one was, is it haram if a woman does not wear niqab, like cover her face and her hands? And the second question was that if we had like a Nike jumper or something, do we, as Nike is I believe it's a god of sports in Greece or something like that.
Yeah.
If we had a Nike jumper, would we have to cover the word Nike?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
okay. What I would like to say, tomorrow we're having another session for the Muslims. So some of the deep questions concerning fiqh and whatnot, I want to discuss this amongst the Muslims because some of them, the non-Muslims who are here, would not be able to follow all the detailed fiqh type questions.